And while MPs welcomed the tougher stance on sexual and hurt offences, questions were raised about how representative the sentencing advisory panel would be and whether it could impact the independence of the judiciary. Other MPs also asked if victims of workplace harassment could be better protected. Deborah Wong reports.
While the guidelines set out by the Sentencing Advisory Panel are non-binding, non-constituency MP Hazel Phua questioned if this could pressure the courts into justifying their sentencing decisions if these deviate from the guidelines.
How does the minister address the concern that this could be viewed as the executive arm going into an area that has traditionally been under the judiciary, and could this potentially compromise the independence of the judiciary in the area of sentencing?
Why should it compromise the independence of the judiciary? First of all, I've said more than half the members would be from the judiciary. The guidelines are guidelines which will flesh out a little bit more. And it's for the courts and the judges in individual cases to decide whether the guidelines need to be departed from or need to be applied.
As to whether the panel will adequately represent the evolving needs of the community, Mr. Shanmugam says it's necessary to balance diverse views with the right experts for the job.
The guidelines from the panel must carry weight. It must have gravitas for judges to take it seriously. Now, that does not mean that you cannot take in the viewpoints of a variety of people interested in this matter. But the panel must have the expertise to make an assessment based on the law and what makes sense and put it across.
Beyond the stiffer penalties for the 3 sexual offences, some MPs also asked if there could be better protection for victims of workplace sexual harassment.
I understand that TAFF has issued a tripartite advisory on managing workplace harassment. However, and that is quite comprehensive. However, it's only an advisory and it's not a statutory requirement. So employers can choose to ignore them. I also understand that we have POHA, but that requires the victim to file for a court order, which may be too onerous for them. So would it be better to give the TAFF advisory more teeth?
Whatever the law can do, we have done, and one of the remedies I've asked MinLaw to look at has been to analyze the number of applications that have been made, the time that has been taken, and how effective is the process, and whether there are things that can be done to make it more effective.
He says as there are varying degrees of harassment, not everything constitutes a criminal offence. Still, Mr. Shanmugam says the laws have been tightened to clamp down on such offences, and it's also now easier for victims to obtain protection orders.